So this next part is our last part for the last one. It's going to be the contact us, and I'm going to leave this for the last part. Let me bring this page in here with it. I don't have the active server, the development server that's running on this right now. That's why this image is not being loaded. Excuse me. So half of this page I'm going to divide. This is the right half. This is the left half. Imagine there's this graphics right here of a pizza that I'm going to load on here with it as well. And the formatting is going to be done on the CSS side, but I just need to have it loaded in here. We're going to have a form. This is your basic form, like any HTML form that you would actually do with it as well. So you got some text fields, and you got some emails, and you have a message, and you have a button on here. So that's the game plan with it as well. So think of this as two separate sides, a right side and a left side. Okay. So then move this, put this back here. I want you to start thinking about how we start to do the layout for this thing with it. So let me close out of the menu items and menu list, and this is the content of the contact. I'm sorry, the contact is a blank document right now with it. So I'm going to import in the pictures, and then I'm going to import in the style sheets, and of course you got to import in your your React tab, React with it, and just come to the right of that, hit enter. And the second one is your import your pizza, your graphics. I'm going to call this pizza left. Uppercase that L for me. It's easier to read from. We're going to bring this in. We're going from contact.js. Go to the parent directory, which is pages. Come down in the asset, and then we're going to come down to pizza left. This one right here. All right. So again, to go to the parent directory, you got to do // and it's going to go to asset, right? And then we're going to do /. We're going to call this thing pizza left right here. .jpg. JPG. Okay. Semicolon. The third one is, of course, we bring in is the style sheets for this with it. We're importing. Excuse me. Go to the parent directory. Go to styles. This one right here, and /. You go into the file with it, contact.css with it. Semicolon. So these are the three files I'm bringing in. I'm writing my function now. So let me just start out with the basic function. Name is called what? Contact. Same name as my file name with it. Put in a curly bracket, hit enter. I'm going to return that. Put a semicolon there at the end of that. And then I need to write in, let me just go ahead and put the basic skeleton for this. Default. The name of the file is the name of the function, contact, semicolon. Alright, so this should be a no-brainer at this time right now. Getting this up here, again, you see a little squiggly line here because you got to return something in here with it as well. So inside of this, we're going to divide up to two parts in here. One of them is going to be called the left, and one of them is going to be called the right. And all of this is nested inside of the larger picture. Is called, the class name is called contact. Alright, so I'm going to start out with a div tag, and this div tag is going to be called class name. I'm going to call this thing contact. Close this tag off. Inside this tag, I want to have another div tag, right? So this div tag is called class name. I'm going to call this thing the left side. Uppercase the S, left, lowercase it. And before let me do this. So let me do this so you can see the basic skeleton for this thing. Class name, right side. We're going to go and fill in a second here with it. So I want you to see this. Okay, So this left side here, remember how we pass in an image as the attribute and its properties with it? So you start with style equal two curly brackets nested inside, and it goes background. I don't know what this is. Background image colon apostrophe URL. It pass inside of that a $sign is the value for this, and the properties, and they'll open up another set of parentheses, pizza left. Okay, and make sure you properly close. Let me take that apostrophe out. That has to be the next one. Has to be a parentheses and then apostrophe with it, and this needs to have two like that. Okay. Let me move this line down to the next line so you can see it better. Looks like this. Okay. So you got style equal two left curly brackets, parentheses with it, two left, one curly ones. Background image with an uppercase I, colon, and an apostrophe inside of that. You're going to pass across the URL with the value, what's called a pizza left, which is this left right here. Alright, so that's what's being passed in right now with it. So that should be there with it. And then we're going to close off with the div tag, and then we're inside of this right now with it. Alright, let me just tighten this up with it. This one, inside of this one, the second one is the right side, right? This is more of the content side of it, so we're going to do maybe an H1, and we're going to call this thing contact us. This is where the form begins now. You guys remember from Web 1 if you did forms, so if you had me for web forms with it, this is an ID contact dash form. Let's give a name that, and then we're going to do the method as post. Okay, uppercase that. Close off that form. Inside that form, we use label. This is all HTML stuff with it. Label with an attribute HTML form. Alright, this is HTML4. This is a JavaScript XML with it as well. We call this thing what? Let's give this a name. Alright. So in the default for this thing, we call it full name as a label. Then we create an input name, and that's going to be name placeholder. So what goes inside of that little text box input that you appears with it. So maybe you want to tell them, so they would say enter full name ... ellipsis with it, and you're going to pass this across as typed text. That's it. Make sure it's in that, and the way you need to self-close it by doing / and a semicolon. That will self-close it. Alright, so that's that one with it, and we got to do a few more, right? A couple of more with it. We need another label. So let me pause the screen and type this and talk about the code, because I don't want to take too much of the video with it. Alright, I went ahead, I filled in a lot of the continuing where we had all the labels and all the stuff with it as well. So these two, all this is HTML stuff that you bring in the form. You're going to bring in the full name. Now, if you recall, what's post? Post from when you hit a submit button, this is your submit button right here with it, you're sending this message. It's going to post it, meaning it's going to send it across the URL on the top. Now, these form names right here, this is what's going to be stored in a database, the back end of it, alright? So the back end is going to store in the database with it, so you can actually tag it later on. You could read it out with it. So in your columns and rows of your database with it, that's how you connect the server-side include with these variables that you have. Here it's called HTML4 with it. So that's just a way how you can recognize the variables. Each one of these things are called with it. Right? Of course, the labels don't have variables. That's what's static, but it's all the input stuff that you actually submit. The text area, we're going to give this about 6 rows. Placeholders enter the message with it, and it actually has an area that they can actually type in a little text, enter a message to you when they hit submit. So once you pause the screen right now, pause the video, get your contact.js page to look like this at this time. Okay. So let's stop the video right now.